before us and everyone who serves in the decision-making process of our city. We pray for direction which will lead our city to be strong and unified. May we continue the legacy of our founders. May we be granted this day the wisdom to make decisions which will be for the good of our city. We also pray for your special blessing on all those who are working to transform our city and make it a better place to live and work. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Clerk, roll call, please.
Councilor Broderick, Mayor Caulfield.
Here.
Councilor Elliott.
Here.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Here.
Councilor Lenzi.
Here.
Councilor Martin.
Here.
Councilor Armin Mercier.
Here.
Councilor Rita Mercier.
Here.
Councilor Milanazzo.
Here.
8 present, 1 absent.
The chair would like to recognize Councilor Rita Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to offer a moment of silence in Docking Chamber for Julia Rocha, a lifelong Lowell resident and communicant of St. Anthony's Church. She was the sister of the late Eddie Santos, who was very committed to the Portuguese-American veterans. She was the widow of the late Henry Doc Rocha, who died in 1990. She was another woman business owner, having owned and operated her own hairdressing salon in Lowell and worked as a hairdresser for over 50 years. She was a member of the Red Hatters Social Club, the Lowell Senior Center, and the Holy Ghost Society. Julia is survived by her 4 sons, 15 grandchildren, and 15 great-grandchildren. Our sympathy to the family. She will be truly missed. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. The mayor would also like to offer a moment of silence for the following. Mr. George Hodge served this country with pride and distinction in the United States Army during World War II. Mr. Hodge was an outstanding musician during the big band era, but he also volunteered for the past 12 years at the Transitional Living Center on Middlesex Street. Mr. Hodge was an outstanding ambassador to the city and for the people who were down on their luck. He was a great maitre d' at that facility and made people feel important and wanted. Also, for Ralph Carnevale, a loving and dedicated husband, father, grandfather. Mr. Carnevale was extremely proud to serve the city of Lowell as a lieutenant on the Lowell Fire Department. At 95 years of age, he was Lowell's oldest retired firefighter. But may we also include those Lowell residents who passed away since our last council meeting. May we all stand for a moment of silence for Dr. Chambers, please. Thank you. May they rest in peace. I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the last council meeting by Councilor Milanazzo, seconded by Councilor Elliott. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The minutes have been accepted and placed on file. Is there a member of the Danis family in attendance?
Over in the corner.
Okay. Probably 3 weeks ago, I was at the dedication for the Charles and Helen dedication plaque at the corner of John and Bridge Street. Since 1934 to 1974, Charles and Helen ran the Danis' fruit store. I remember it. I remember there going as a youngster, having a hot chocolate with marshmallow in the coldest days of the winter. But it was more than just a fruit store. It was camaraderie. It was Lowell. And back in those days, it was Brockman's Market and the A&P and the Shoe Shine Parlor, and your dad and your mother made Lowell what it is today. And on behalf of the City Council, Manager Lynch, and the residents of the city, I'd like to present this citation to you. Be it hereby known to all that the City of Lowell and the Commonwealth of Massachusetts hereby offers its sincere gratitude to the Charles P. Danis family in memory of Charles and Helen Danis, lifelong residents of the City of Lowell, upon their dedication and commitment as loving parents, grandparents, great-grandparents, entrepreneurs, and proud citizens. Charles and Helen owned and operated Danis's fruit store since 1934 to 1974, raised their family, educated their children, and gave themselves unselfishly to the greater Lowell community. Charles and Helen will always be remembered by the many patrons they spoke with proudly throughout the community. The entire City of Lowell is proud to honor the memory of these distinguished individuals, given this 14th day of July 2009. And even though the fruit store is no longer there, the plaque is. It will stand the test of time, and in everyone's memory, it is still Danis's fruit store.
I'd just like to say thank you to the council and everybody. Gosh, I look around, I see faces, and I have fond memories of some of you still coming into Dad's store. Dad loved the City of Lowell. As you know, there are still 2 other Danis markets in the city. One, unfortunately, is a gun store today. Shows you how society has changed over the years. It's a great city, and our family has just adored Lowell, and some of us are still here in the city, and those of us that are not living in the city currently always ask, what's new? What's going on in Lowell? What's happening in the city? So I guess we all have roots here, and I can't thank you enough for this. I know that they are smiling, looking down on this night. Thank you very, very much.
You're entirely welcome.
Thank you.
God bless you. We have many dedicated neighborhood organizations throughout our city, and Taya Dixon Mullane is working tirelessly in the Lower Highlands neighborhood, and she deserves an awful lot of plaudits and applause for your hard work. And Taya is going to have the Art Invades Armory Park this Saturday, July 18th, from 2 to 8. And Taya, why don't you explain to the council and to the viewing audience at home the enjoyment they can receive if they attend.
Well, thank you, Mr. Mayor, for inviting me to address the City Council on behalf of the Lower Highlands Neighborhood Group. As the Mayor mentioned, this Saturday, July 18th, we are partnering with the nonprofit 119 Gallery, which is located on Chelmsford Street, to invite everyone to Art Beat in Armory Park. This is a free event. We'll bring together hip-hop musicians, dancers, live art, local vendors, which will include a lot of local artists selling their goods, as well as Taptida Kamai, Captain John's Restaurant, and Simply Kamai Foods, who will be selling some good food. This is all going to be taking place at Westford Street's Armory Park, which is what we hope will be an upbeat and very family-friendly event in the Lower Highlands, and a good opportunity for neighbors to come out, meet each other, and enjoy one of our parks. The event is sponsored in part by generous donations from Representative Kevin Murphy, Mayor Bud Caulfield, thank you, the Couple Square Business Association, the GRIP Project, and the Coalition for a Better Acre. The event is from 2 to 8 at Armory Park, the corner of Westford and Grand Street in the Lower Highlands. More information for those of you out there, 119gallery.org, and we welcome everyone to stop by. Thanks.
Thank you. And thank you for your hard work in that neighborhood. You deserve a round of applause.
Thank you.
I will now entertain a motion to accept the minutes of the last meeting. So moved by Council Rita Mercia, seconded by Council Bill Martin. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The minutes have been accepted and placed on file. The councils have any questions for Manager Lynch regarding communications from the manager? Any questions? Council Bill Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Manager, I don't have any questions. I did have a few motions on last week, and I thank you for the response responses to those, but I think one of the more important things in the packet was the response to Councilor Elliott's motion about the city's application and pursuit of federal stimulus funds. It was, to me, an impressive document showing the diligence with which many department heads have pursued and are continuing to pursue these funds. So I don't really have much to say other than that citizens of the city should be confident that we are pursuing every avenue in all aspects, in law enforcement, in public works, which includes, water, wastewater, as well as DPD and some of the development agencies that are available to us. So I want to compliment the department heads because I think there's been a considerable amount of work that's gone in to date, and I was pleased to see that. I wish the results were a little better, but we have received some funding and are continuing to do that. So I just wanted to remark on that, and thank you for that report.
Okay. Any other issues pertaining to communications for Manager Lynch? Councilor Milonazo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. There's also a response to Councilor Rita Mercia's motion regarding the new trash collection program, and the memorandum came from Gunther Wellenstein, who indicated that 1,500 door hangers have been placed to date, indicating that there is a violation, and when they go back, there's 35 follow-up warnings have been issued, but to date, only 17 non-criminal disposition tickets have been issued. So with the follow-up and the second warnings, it looks like that is working very well. So again, I just wanted to make mention of the follow-up from Councilor Rita Mercia's motion.
Okay. Mr. Manager?
Thank you, Councilor. Just if I could just follow up to that, the other bit of information that we have regarding the trash program is the continued success that it's having in the city with reduction of total tonnage. We continue to see a reduction each month and an increase in our recycling. So I think the program is working quite well. Gunther's doing a great job out there educating people, and the key, I think, is enforcement. We knew that from the start. Enforcement and education, and I think we've been successful in doing that. But thank you.
I believe the recycling has gone from 7% to 30%. Is that so, Mr. Manager?
I don't think it may not be quite up to 30%, but it's very
there.
close to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Councilor Elliott?
Mayor, thank you. Just along those same lines, Mr. Manager, I've received a few phone calls, and people have approached me on the street just asking about small, bulky items, those items that they're too big to fit into the bin, but they're too small for folks to get a dumpster. Before they start ending up where we don't want them, I know that I filed a motion and others have filed motions. Have we come up with any strategy, any idea, any thoughts on what people can anticipate? Or actually, I think Council Mercia filed a motion on maybe a pickup day, and so I'm just a little concerned about that.
I agree. That's been a concern of mine from the beginning. The large pieces, the sofas, the chairs, the large tables. You always knew those were bulky, and there'd have to be some special arrangement. The smaller pieces, but that don't fit into the bins, are a little bit more problematic. I know the Solid Waste Advisory Committee that we established, the citizens group, has been working with Gunther on some solutions for that. I know that we referred this motion, your motion, and Councilor Rita Mercia's motion to them. I'll double check on that and hopefully have something for you at the next meeting.
I know there's no easy solution, and there's certainly a cost factor, which is a concern, but that'd be great. Anything, an update on that. Thank you.
Anyone? Councilor Martin?
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. As the one skeptic of this program, I'm encouraged by the results, but also we saw the report on the violations. The process for a violation is to, put a note on the door and then put another note on the door, post a sign, and then if any of those don't work, then it's a fine, I presume, to the owner, who may not be the resident, which was part of my concern all along, is that this would work well in single-family houses, and the enforcement problems would be where there are, a lot of rental property. So the first notice that an owner may get may be the fine, which may be, 3 weeks into the problem. So I haven't seen the places I've seen with problems, they've been rectified the next day, so I think it is working But I think we need to keep in mind there may need to be a process, where the owner is notified, almost, maybe not immediately with the tenant, but if it's not taken care of within a day or two, the owner needs to get on that. I mean, responsible owners will be aware of that anyway, but not all of them.
Okay. Anyone else? Mr. Mayor, I just have, unrelated, is a motion I filed maybe 8 months ago about a crosswalk on Beacon Street for the McAuliffe and Robinson School. And we could, see if we can get that in before school starts.
Right, we actually, I do have some information on that Lisa DeMeo, I know it was several months ago, I don't know if it was quite 8, but it was several months ago, you're right about that, Mr. Mayor. And
6 months ago.
we've been working with, I know that Lisa has been working with some of the people at the university. I believe your recommendation or your request was we investigate an illuminated crosswalk, and she just got the information the other day. She sent some preliminary information. She's putting a response together. We'll have that. I don't know if we'll be able to do the illuminated. Those are quite costly.
Yes,
but
right.
we're looking putting a crosswalk there before school starts.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. Any other questions or communications? If none, accept the communications, place them on file by Councilor Lindsay, seconded by Councilor Kazanjian. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The communications are accepted and placed on file. Moving on with the agenda. Authorizing the city manager into a license agreement with Christian L. Lopez, Hair Tech, to encroach upon the city of Lowell property at 600 Central Street, Lowell, Massachusetts. Be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: that the city manager is hereby authorized to enter a license agreement with Christian L. Lopez, Hair Tech, to encroach upon the City of Lowell property at 600 Central Street for an overhanging awning to the extent of, and more particularly described in Exhibit A attached hereto and made a part of this license agreement. Motion to waive the full reading by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Milonazo. All in favor of waiving the full reading signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Full reading's been waived. Second reading by title. Authorizing the city manager to enter a license agreement with Christian L. Lopez, Hair Tech, to encroach upon the City of Lowell property at 600 Central Street, Lowell, Massachusetts. Any questions? Any debate? If none, roll call.
Mr. Mayor,
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I don't actually have a question on this particular issue, but it does talk about, with respect to encroaching upon city property, and having, I could have probably brought it up at the last subject, but I'm bringing it up this time because I had a few calls from people that are handicapped and in those motorized wheelchairs about encroachment on city property and regarding sidewalk seating. So if we have a downtown liaison, if you could send that person downtown to make sure that people are complying with their sidewalk seating so that wheelchairs can get through. I don't know that personally because I haven't been down there, looking at every single spot, but if we can have the downtown coordinator take a look at that and make sure that people, through their excitement, aren't overstepping their bounds, because we have to be cognizant of the people that are handicapped and need to get through the traverse through the city.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay, good point. Any other questions pertaining to this issue? If none, roll call.
Councilor Broderick, Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Vote authorizing the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell to accept various intangible monetary gifts in the amount of $1,200, intangible gifts in various forms, gift certificates, etc., to be used under the positive ticketing revolving fund. Whereas the vote to create the positive ticketing revolving fund was approved on June 9, 2009, and whereas a new youth positive ticketing program is a way to build and strengthen relationships between police officers and youths. And whereas the positive ticketing revolving fund uses only specific gifted funds to administer to youths, and whereas the police department has received many gifted funds for said program from many local businesses. Whereas the City of Lowell desires to accept the various intangible and tangible gifts to be specified for use under the positive ticketing revolving fund in its police department. Now therefore be it voted that the city manager be and he is hereby authorized in the name of the City of Lowell and to accept various intangible gifts in the amount of $1,200 in tangible gifts in various forms, gift certificates, etc., to be used under the Positive Ticketing Revolving Fund pursuant to Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 44, Section 53A and 53A and a half. Be it further voted that we, the members of the City Council of the City of Lowell, jointly and severally do hereby commend and officially thank all involved for the generosity displayed in donating the aforesaid gifts to the City of Lowell. Second reading by title, authorizing the city manager on behalf of the City of Lowell to accept various intangible monetary gifts on the amount of $1,200 in tangible gifts in various forms, gift certificates, etc., to be used under the Positive Ticketing Revolving Fund. Councilor Rita Mercer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I know that we could just take a roll call vote and that'd be the end of that, but this is a positive happening in the city. It's a program designated to reward people for doing good things. We hear about fines and fees and tickets, and this is a turnaround. This is something remarkable, and it wouldn't happen without the generous contribution by the businesses. And I just want to say them very quickly, rather than just take a vote and they're not even known, because they stepped up to the plate, as people in the city so very often do when we have a program but we lack the money to support the program. The Enterprise Bank, $1,000 they gave. Domino's Pizza, LRTA, Merrimack Repertory Theater, Atlas Sporting Goods, Broadway Pizza, Four Sisters Owl Diner, Athenian Corner, the Lowell Spinners, and 7-Eleven, the store 7-Eleven. 450 free coupons for a Slurpee. Is this unbelievable or what? 250 standing room only tickets from the Spinners. This is the good neighbor policy, and I'm not just going to take a vote without thanking publicly these businesses. This is a win. This is a good thing for the city, and we need to do more things like that to get people excited. Thank you.
And rightfully so, and I'm glad you brought that forward, Councilor. The business community, as always, they've been here for the city, whether it's a fundraiser for the Merrimack Valley Food Bank, or fireworks, and so forth. And once again, they're coming to the table and offering monetary gifts and monetary issues in a way that's going to benefit the city. And in October, the Enterprise Bank will be having a hot walk. And I would love to see all my colleagues and members of the City Hall and the City of Lowell be part of that hot walk, because Enterprise Bank is sponsoring it, and we should return that favor to Judge Duncan and Mr. Clancy and the Enterprise Bank. So that will be coming up in October. Any other discussions, questions? Roll call.
Councilor Broderick, Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Moving on with the agenda, authorizing the city manager to accept the bid of Mammoth Fire Alarms Incorporated in the amount of $90,000 to purchase a portion of the property located at 751 and 831-975 Pawtucket Boulevard, Lowell, and to execute all documents necessary for the transfer of the property. Whereas the City of Lowell is the owner of the portion of property at 751 and 831-975 Pawtucket Boulevard, Lowell, by a deed recorded with the Middlesex North District Registry of Deeds in Books 7058, page 73, and by an eminent domain taking dated June 25th, 1919, recorded with said deeds in Book 608, page 21. And whereas the City Council of the City of Lowell on April 28, 2009, voted to declare a portion of the property located at 751, 831, 975 Pawtucket Boulevard surplus. And whereas the City of Lowell has issued its request for proposals for the sale of a portion of the property located at 751, 831, 975 Pawtucket Boulevard with certain conditions contained therein. And whereas Mammoth Fire Alarms Incorporated did submit a proposal to the City of Lowell containing a bid of $90,000 for the purchase of the property. And whereas the city manager has recommended to the City Council that the city accept said proposal and sell and convey to Mammoth Fire Alarms Incorporated the above referenced property. Now therefore, be it voted that the city manager be, and he is hereby authorized, in the name of the City of Lowell, to sell and convey to Mammoth Fire Alarms Incorporated, or nominee as approved, by the city manager for the sum of $90,000 on such terms and conditions as the city manager deems in the best interest of the city of Lowell. The property located at a portion of 751, 831, 975 Pawtucket Boulevard, Lowell, owned by the city of Lowell, and to execute all documents necessary for the transfer of the property, including but not limited to purchase and sale agreement, deed, execution, and delivery, and any other related documents pertaining to the sale and transfer of said property consistent with this vote. And it goes on and on and on. So motion to waive the full reading by Council Rita Mercia, seconded by Council Milonazo. All in favor of waiving the full reading signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The full reading has been waived. The second reading by title, authorizing the city manager to accept the bid of Mammoth Fire Alarms Incorporated in the amount of $90,000 to purchase a portion of the property located at 751 and 831 975 Pawtucket Boulevard, Lowell, and to execute all documents necessary for the transfer of the property. Any discussion with the council?
Move approval.
Council Milonazo?
Thank you. I just want to say that if you look at the last page of the summary submitted by the Planning and Development Office, this is a very good project, and the plan is to build a new facility there, and once completed, the company will employ an additional 40 employees. So based upon the fact that they already have 70 employees at their corporate headquarters with the additional 40, clearly this is a win-win for the city. So,
And it will be on the tax rolls as well.
That's correct.
Move for approval by Council Rita Mercia, seconded by Council Milonazo. Any questions? Any debate? If none, roll call.
Councilor Broderick, Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Present.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Raman Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
7 yeas, 1 present, 1 absent.
Moving on with the agenda, authorizing the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell to apply for, accept, and expend a grant from the Executive Office of Elder Affairs in the amount of $101,402 for the continued employment of staff, as well as funding of various supplies, furnishings, and equipment for use by the Council on Aging. Now therefore be it voted that the city manager be and he is hereby authorized in the name of the city of Lowell to apply for, accept, and expand a grant from the Executive Office of Elder Affairs in the amount of $101,402 for the continued employment of staff, as well as funding for various supplies, furnishing, and equipment for use by the Council on Aging. Be it further voted that the city manager, on behalf of the city of Lowell, be and hereby is authorized to execute any and all documents necessary in connection with said grants from the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, including the expenditure thereof. Second reading by title, authorizing the city manager on behalf of the city of Lowell to apply for, accept, and expend a grant from the Executive Office of Elder Affairs in the amount of $101,402 for the continued employment of staff, as well as funding for various supplies, furnishings, and equipment for use by the Council on Aging. Council Rita Mercia?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to the city manager. Mr. Manager, how many staff members are we talking about that money will pay for?
Well, it's I don't have the breakdown in front of me, Councilor. This is known as the formula grant that the
Yes.
state allocates based upon population and demographics of the community that we're entitled to. I mean, right now, we have a relatively small staff there, so this will go just towards maintaining the current staff in place, as well as a portion of it to go for supplies and furnishings. So it's not, there's not a specific number to that exactly. It's sort of put into the mix of our overall budget.
So it's not like a grant that equals this person, that person, we don't know how many?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
All right.
Any other questions? Roll call.
Councilor Broderick, Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Raman Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Vote authorizing the city manager to enter a license agreement with FIDA LLC with principal offices at 8899 Beverly Boulevard, Suite 510, West Hollywood, California, zip code 90048, for use of City of Lowell property, to wit, to use the City of Lowell seal, the Lowell, Massachusetts Police Department name and logo on various items such as set dressing, props, and a wardrobe in the upcoming motion picture, The Fighter. Be it voted by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: that the city manager is hereby authorized to enter into a license agreement with FIDA LLC with principal offices at 8899 Beverly Boulevard, Suite 510, West Hollywood, California, zip code 90048, for use of City of Lowell property, to wit, the use of the City of Lowell seal, the Lowell, Massachusetts Police Department name and logo on various items such as set dressing, props, and wardrobe in the upcoming motion picture. The FIDA, second reading by title, authorizing the city manager to enter a license agreement with FIDA LLC with principal offices at 8899 Beverly Boulevard, Suite 510, West Hollywood, California, zip code 90048, for use of City of Lowell property, to wit, to use the City of Lowell seal, the Lowell, Massachusetts Police Department name and logo on various items such as set dressing, props, and a wardrobe in the upcoming motion picture, The Fighter. Any questions? If none, roll call.
Councilor Broderick, Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
We are now going to enter into the public hearing, and those wishing to speak in favor, you'll have 5 minutes or less, and those wishing to speak in opposition, you'll also have 5 minutes or less. And the first issue on the docket for a public hearing, to borrow $450,000 for the purpose of financing the acquisition by purchase, eminent domain of otherwise of land and buildings located at 203, 205 Pawtucket Street and owned by the AJF One Realty Trust, Arthur J. Faneras, trustee, the relocation of current occupants, if any, and all costs incidental and related thereto. Those wishing to speak in favor, please come to the podium. Those wishing to speak in favor. In favor, in favor. That portion of the public hearing is closed. Those wishing to come to the podium and speak in opposition. In opposition, in opposition, in opposition. There is no opposition. What's the wish of the body? This has to happen for the new bridge. So,
Move to approve.
move approval by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council Martin. Roll call.
Councilor Broderick, Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
The next item on the public hearing docket is National Grid to place one pole on Sagamore Street. Those wishing to speak in favor? In favor?
Good evening. My name is Dan Damaris. I work for National Grid, and I'm here to speak on behalf of National Grid and Verizon in this matter. National Grid would like to set a pole on Sagamore Street in order to serve a new residence that's being built there, number 7 Sagamore Street. We feel that placing this pole in the public taking is the best way to serve house number 7 and also to stabilize the network in the area.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak in favor? In favor? In favor? That portion of the public hearing is closed. Those wishing to speak in opposition? In opposition? Opposition? There is no opposition. Refer it to the wire inspector by Council Milonazo, seconded by Council Lindsay. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? It's on its way to the wire inspector. Moving on with the motion, the agenda. Vote. Order to meet fixed charges and current expenses of the City of Lowell for the fiscal year 2008-2009, ordered by the City Council of the City of Lowell as follows: that the amount of $2,120,400 be transferred from various salary and wage accounts, various operating appropriations, as well as all remaining funds in the fiscal year 2009 contingency account, all of which are more fully described in attachment A, to various accounts in deficit, all of which are more fully described in attachment A. Second reading by title, to meet fixed charges and current expenses of the City of Lowell for the fiscal year 2008-2009, and the council does have reference to where these transfers are going to take place and what's going to happen. Council Elliott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm going to support this, Mr. Manager, but could you explain just the second paragraph regarding the appropriations that ran into a deficit at the end of the fiscal year? And it goes on to state, because of the various successful techniques to reduce our salary base in 010. And I know Mr. Moses isn't here, but, or maybe the auditor, refer this to the auditor. Why do we run deficits in those
Okay.
appropriations?
Sorry, I was looking at that. Generally, when you look at the attachment A that you see there, that we've attached, there's a number of permanent salary lines that ran into a deficit. The primary reason for that is that as you know, we through the early separation program that we had, as well as the voluntary layoff, and then the layoffs themselves required us to pay out accumulated vacation time, as well as sick time that some people were entitled to, cash out of those accounts. So those, we budgeted not assuming that would happen, so they ran into a deficit as a result of that.
That makes sense. Okay. And just one other thing, the following paragraph regarding workers' comp, and I understand medical bills, but was it because we reduced the budget back in 09? In 07 we were at 560,000, and we did reduce that workers' comp line to 375, and then FY09 was 140. So is that why there's a shortfall, or do we have an increased number of workers' comp cases?
The solicitor may have a sense of that. I don't know that number off the top of my head in terms of the number of claims that we've received. I think it's been a combination of the number of claims and the severity of the claims, but certainly the reduction, if we had kept it at that prior level, we certainly would have had more money available, but I'll ask the solicitor to comment.
Actually, Counselor, if you notice, the number for the workers' comp schools is quite high by comparison.
Yes.
That's because that was the only line item that hadn't been transferred into the actual departments for salary and wages.
Okay.
The other amounts that you see are actually just the medical bills for those individual accounts, which overall are probably, even though we require a transfer, they're probably actually down from years past. It was a way of doing this so that there's more of an encouragement that when there's opportunities for light duty to get people back to work. We've also had recent discussions with the superintendent. She's all in favor of fully exploring opportunities at the school department that will ultimately, in the upcoming fiscal year, bring that number down.
Okay.
So of the 290-something thousand, a great portion of that in the school department is actually going towards school department salaries.
Mr. Manager?
Just following up, just the point that the solicitor made that I did not mention was, in fact, that the reduction in the budget appropriation from the prior years is in large part because now we, instead of paying those out of that workers' comp account, we pay them directly out of the departmental account. That puts more responsibility into the departments in terms of actually covering those costs.
Okay, good. That's great. Thank you very much.
Councilor Kazanjian?
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Manager, the snow and ice deficit shows it's $2.3 million, but also you said you able to make a significant reduction to that deficit. What is that? Where does it stand right now?
That will, after this transfer, that snow and ice deficit will stand at about $750,000.
$750,000?
Right.
Okay, good, thank you.
Any other question? Councilor Martin?
That certainly good news, I think. So my compliments on the administration's ability to do that. My question goes to the prior question about claims and medical bills. I mean, it's perennial problem. I get calls from, retirees, sometimes injured employees, sometimes from doctors who treat a large number of city employees that, the bills aren't paid on time. It's a chronic problem. So with these transfers, are people going to be brought reasonably current? Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Mr. Manager?
Yes, they will be, everyone should be, will be, certainly should be brought current at that point. The lag time in making payments to those individuals or those doctors or pharmacies has improved dramatically, but it has been, I know it has been an issue in the past. It's been a motion made by the council before. It's been, I've received a number of those phone calls. I know the solicitor has as well. We've made great progress in improving that, but this will bring us current. Okay. The solicitor has another comment.
If I could just add on to that, exactly what the manager was saying, and the medical bills now are in fact, I believe, completely current, which probably hasn't happened in years and years. The other thing is, with the end part of this year, awaiting the transfer of funds, which had to come from all these different departments, that's where we ran into some difficulty this year. But that was based more on an aberration of a very difficult budget in light of 9C mid-year cuts, as opposed to the overall process. So we're very optimistic as we go forward that those types of issues aren't going to be recurring anymore.
Okay. Thank you.
Councilor Armin Mercier.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a question. Apparently, a number of departments have not spent the money that was allocated in the budget. And so we're taking that money and applying it to departments that are a deficit. Is that my understanding what we're doing?
That's correct. If I may, you recall that we put a freeze on during the year on various spending accounts, and this reflects some of that.
So this is the excess that's now going to be transferred to budgets that are a deficit.
That's correct.
My question is, only one more question I have is, what are the professional services in the law department that requires another $100,000? Well, actually $98,680. What professional services are those?
Those are, there's a great number of professional services that go on. In fact, this year it was much higher than normal, in large part as the result of a civil rights case where we had both outside counsel to represent the individual members that were sued, as well as 3 different experts, an economist, a civil rights expert, and a psychologist. The other, really the majority of this is all from outside medical nurse services for 111F. And,
so this is not directed at outside counsel in total amount, $98,000?
No, in fact, apart from attorneys representing individual members, we spend, on a yearly average, somewhere between $5,000 to $10,000 tops on outside counsel, and that's been pretty consistent. It's rare. I may seek services, the manager may, but it's very limited in nature.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
And I believe that we go through this as a housekeeping, more or less, with our accounting to more or less balance the books throughout the city. If there's no other questions?
Rule approval.
Roll call?
Councilor Broderick, Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian. Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercier.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercier.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Ordinance amending.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, I'm sorry.
Mr. Mayor, before we get into the next portion of the city manager's line item here, if I could take my motion, which is the very first motion, suspend the rules to allow that to come in, and if it's approved, to put it into the very ordinance, Chapter 216. My motion is for
I'll
a
second the
60-day
motion.
trial.
Okay.
And we're so close to that quarterly acceptance that if I could just squeeze my motion, it's like the day before doom, you know what I mean? And this motion of mine is about a little girl that's severely medically handicapped, and I think a 60-day trial, I think if I could squeeze it in, that'd be great.
Okay.
Thank you.
All in favor of taking Council Rita Mercer's motion out of sequence, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion by Council Rita Mercer. City Council requests the manager have the law department draw the proper vote to have a 60-day trial for a handicap sign at 45 Abbott Street, seconded by Councilor Lindsay. The motion has been seconded.
Thank
If you'd
you.
like to speak on it.
Thank you very much, my colleagues. This is very important. The man, Mr. Mamadou Dienta, asked me if I would present this motion, and that was almost like 3 weeks ago, so we've already let 3 weeks elapse. It's for a little girl with special needs, severely handicapped, seizures and things like that. So this is very important to this family to get this handicap and park close to the house as possible. So thank you very much, so that I could include that into the next vote from the city manager's portion of the agenda.
Now, would be any objections from the council? Mr. Manager, could we incorporate this handicap parking sign, 45 Abbott Street, into the next round of...
Yeah, absolutely.
We're going to a public hearing July 28th anyway. Sure. Madam Solicitor?
Thank you.
Can you make
Thank you.
that happen? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ordinance, an ordinance amending the new code of ordinances for the city of Lowell, Massachusetts, the code with respect to chapter 266 thereof entitled Vehicles and Traffic, be it ordained by the city council of the city of Lowell as follows. The code of ordinances, city of Lowell, Massachusetts, hereinafter called the code, adopted by the city council on December 23, 2008, is amended, is hereby further amended with respect to chapter 266 thereof entitled Vehicles and Traffic as follows. Everyone has the amendment to the traffic, and waive the full reading by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Kazanjian. All in favor of waiving the full reading, signify by saying aye. The full reading has been waived. Second reading by title. An ordinance amending the new code of ordinances for the city of Lowell, Massachusetts, the code with respect to chapter 266 thereof entitled Vehicles and Traffic. This will be going to a public hearing on July 28th. So moved by Councilor Milonazo, seconded by Councilor Martin. And now I'm going to request the suspension of the rules so the manager can bring something forward that's very important pertaining to Verizon. Motion to suspend the rules by Councilor Mercia, seconded by Councilor Elliott. All in favor of suspending the rules, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The rules have been suspended. And this is what's before us. Authorizing the city manager to enter a license agreement with Verizon New England Incorporated for the installation of underground cables and lines located in, through, under, over, across, and upon certain ways known as Middlesex, Revere, and Jackson Street located within the city of Lowell. Be it voted by the city council of the city of Lowell as follows: that the city manager be and hereby is authorized to enter a license agreement with Verizon New England Incorporated for the installation of underground cables and lines located in, through, under, over, across, and upon certain ways known as Middlesex, Revere, and Jackson Streets, located within the city of Lowell. Said license shall be in accordance with the form or substantially the form attached hereto. Second reading by title. Authorizing the city manager to enter into a license agreement with Verizon New England Incorporated for the installation of underground cables and lines located in, through, under, over, across, and upon certain ways known as Middlesex, Revere, and Jackson Street within the city of Lowell. This is very important. It involves the Hamilton Canal. Any discussion?
Move approval. Oops.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have one question. Is this all going to be underground wiring, or is it going to be telephone poles there, or is it all going to be
It
underground?
will all be underground.
Okay, that was my only question. Thank you.
Any other questions? If none, roll call.
Councilor Broderick. Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott.
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin.
Yes.
Councilor Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Any subcommittee reports? Council Martin.
Not a subcommittee report, Mr. Mayor, but in the packet, there is a grant application or grant proposal from the police department.
Yes.
Says that the police is eligible to receive a grant, $121,000. In accordance with the grant requirements, the application must be made available for public review. Prior to submission, the grant will be reviewed at the city council meeting to be held on July 14th, 2009. Lowell Police will provide a link on the application on the city's website. So I don't know if we have to take any action on that tonight, but I think it's important that we note that we all have it, that we reviewed it, that we support the police department's pursuing this grant.
You want a formal vote on it, Council?
So I would move that we support the application.
Seconded by Council Milonazo. Any questions? Roll call.
Counselor Broderick, Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Counselor Elliott.
Yes.
Counselor Kazanjian.
Yes.
Counselor Lenzi.
Yes.
Counselor Martin.
Yes.
Counselor Arman Mercia.
Yes.
Counselor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Counselor Milonazo.
Yes.
8 yeas, 1 absent.
Counselor, thank you for bringing that forward.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also in our packet was a request from the Sign Center. It was a request permission to install a hanging sign at 26A Market Street on behalf of Dharma Bun Sandwich Company. Do we not have that on our agenda, or is that going to be referred to the Law Department for the proper vote at another time?
We'll get that on the next agenda.
Okay, thank you.
Counselor Milonazo?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Under subcommittee reports, I actually don't have a subcommittee report, but I do want to notify the members of the Rules Committee that I'd like to schedule a Rules Subcommittee to deal with Councilor Rita Mercia's motion to take a look at the schedule that the council is now on, meeting the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month. I know that that's something that we've agreed to get back together on. So we'll either, with Councilor Rita Mercia and Councilor Arman Mercia, who are the other members of the Rules Committee, either we can do it a week from tonight or 2 weeks from tonight, whatever is convenient for them.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Nothing else? Going to move on to petitions. Conduit, location, Verizon to place 54 feet of conduit in the Cabot Street. Hearing will be July 28th. So moved by Councilor Elliott, seconded by Councilor Lindsay. It's on its way to the wires. It's on its way to a hearing, July 28th. 2 claims, 1 personal injury, 1 property damage, referred to the Law Department by Councilor Martin, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercia. Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I have 3 property damages, 1 personal injury claim. There were 4 altogether in our packet. There were 3 property damage claims and 1 personal injury.
Well, it's a typo then on my...
It must be a typo, because I have them
So
right here.
it's 4...
It's 4
claims.
altogether,
4
3 property and 1 personal.
Okay, refer
And
to the Law
I have it
Department.
all here, refer to the Law Department. Thank you.
By Councilor Lindsay, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercia. And the Lowell House, 102-108 Appleton Street, request a handicap sign, refer to the traffic engineer by Councilor Kazanjian, Councilor Lindsay. Motions. By Councilor Kazanjian. City Council requests the city manager to have the traffic engineer investigate placing no parking here to corner. Does it state?
White Street.
This is actually on White Street, Mr. Mayor, and I received a phone call, and actually the individual stopped by
White
my
Street.
office on White Street and the corner of VFW, but it's actually, the signage would be on White Street, which is the city-owned street, I believe, and it seems like it's a dangerous situation where they're trying to pull out and the cars are there parking from here to the corner. So if we can have the traffic engineer take a look at it and get his opinion on what we can do there.
Okay. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The next motion by Councilor Kazanjian. City Council requests the city manager to have the proper departments report on the conditions at 3436 Mead Street.
Thank you, Mayor.
Seconded by Councilor Lindsay.
Okay. Again, thank you, Mayor. I brought this motion up probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago, and they gave me a report on it. But since then, there's been an incident there where it's been used as a rooming house, and I know the building department's been involved in taking the individual to court, but I guess there was an incident there when an individual was a fight, and individual got his head split open by an object, and there's been just ongoing problems for the neighborhood. So whatever we can do there, if maybe the police presence can do something to eliminate the problems there, or whatever the building department can do more than what they're doing now.
Mr. Manager?
Certainly, I'll get a full report to this motion. I will tell you that I do have a preliminary report that was given to me today in sort of preparation for the meeting in case questions arose. And it does appear from the building department, from the Inspectional Services Department, that much of the issues regarding the property being used as a lodging house have ended. This is the first I've heard of the police, the other issues happening there that we should have the police look into. But I'll get a full report for the council on this.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed, the motion carries. The next motion by Councilor Kazanjian requests the City Council to follow up on the previous motion relative to limiting the number of candidates to necessitate a primary in the City Council election, seconded by Councilor Rita Mercia on the motion.
Thank you, Mayor. This was brought up probably a couple of months ago, if not longer, and we all voted in favor for it. We're supposed to bring it to the Rules Subcommittee, and nothing has happened yet, so I just want to see if we can get something done. It's going to save the city approximately $60,000 if we can eliminate this primary. And it's like I said before, it's not a political thing. It's just bottom line saving $60,000 plus for the city, where we can eliminate a primary and go right to the general election, and again, saving $60,000. I know Councilor Melanazzo is on is the chairman of that Rules Committee. Is that something we can do anytime soon, if it's not too late now?
I think what we'd have to do is contact the legislature for a home rule petition.
Right. We had a discussion, if I could just remind Councilor Kazanjian, we had a discussion about this 3 weeks ago, both Councilor Kazanjian and Councilor Mercier and myself, and we determined back 3 weeks ago that we didn't feel that there was enough time. Again, if he feels that I should contact the state legislature, I'd be more than happy to reach out to do that. But being, July 14th at this particular point in time, and we had decided 3 weeks ago, if we had decided that we wanted to do something 3 weeks ago, I could have called within 48 hours.
I beg to differ. I might have said, I think you might have interpreted that, but I thought we were going to meet on the following Tuesday. That was my my interpretation.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Well, and again, Councilor Kazanjian, you could have picked up the phone, as Councilor Rita Mercia has many times.
I don't think I have to. We made a motion. This thing should have been done months ago. I mean,
Let's keep the discussion civil.
We will, but again, I'm just saying that we had this discussion, and I don't know if Councilor Mercia wants to weigh in.
I don't think I have to pick up a phone and make the motion. You're chairman of a committee. I think it should go forward. I mean, if you don't think you can handle the committee, I think maybe you should step down. This should have been done months ago. This city is going to cost the city $60,000 plus if we don't get this thing approved.
It's got nothing to do with whether or not I can handle a subcommittee.
I beg to differ.
I took the liberty to call Senator Panagiotakis' office a week and a half ago to investigate ways and means of addressing this. And Councilor Kazanjian is right. We all agree, if there's 21 candidates, 22 candidates, and we have a primary, to eliminate 4 candidates at a cost of $60,000. The city just cannot afford that expense. And if you want, I will call the senator, or Councilor Melanazzo, if you want to call him tomorrow.
I'd be happy to call him.
And see if we can amend that issue. In order to change the way it's structured now from 18 candidates, if you have 19 candidates, you have a primary. You have to have a charter change. And that's a very long, drawn-out process.
Correct.
But I know the senator and the local reps did it 2 years ago, and they indicated they wouldn't do it again. But I think under these hard fiscal times, I think they might take a long, hard look at it again. And there's 60,000 reasons why we should do it. So.
Absolutely. And Mr. Mayor, where's it stand right now? Is somebody going to get back to us, or are we going to try to set something up as far as a meeting now?
Council, do you want to give the senator a call tomorrow?
I will.
And just give us an update and see if we can do something to save that much money. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, could we hear from the city solicitor, because I think she can shed some light on the time frame here.
I know that Brian Leahy in our office has been working on this issue. I think, in fact, he might have spoken to Councilor Kazanjian. Is that right?
He hasn't spoken to me, no.
No? But in any event, we can work with the mayor and explore whether we can get yet another waiver, because even having started quite some time ago, quite frankly, there wouldn't be enough time to do it. And I think that there's a very solid argument as to why it really needs to happen this year, because I don't think that there'd be enough money budgeted currently for primaries and multiple elections,
You're talking a waiver, not a charter change. You're talking a waiver.
Just a waiver. Right. And I think that's what Attorney Leahy was exploring. Yep.
Madam Solicitor, is there something that the law department should interject on our behalf with this issue?
We can work with you, Mr. Mayor, and or whatever the council wants in
Mr.
terms
Manager?
of exploring getting a waiver.
I was going to say, certainly the law department can, if it's the wish of the council to seek this special act or home rule petition to do this, certainly the law department can work to draft up the vote for the legislature to consider. I think they've done that in the past, and certainly it can be done again. And right now, I believe or soon the legislature will be working in informal session, and we can certainly I can work with the senator and the representatives as well, if the council so wishes.
Mr. Mayor, I just realized why I didn't call a meeting. My subconscious must have been telling me, because Councilor Alan Kazanjian made the motion, that there must have been more to it than just saving money, in my opinion.
Well, I didn't hear that. What was that?
I didn't get this.
I said, since you made the motion, there must have been more to it than just saving money, in my opinion.
Oh, you're crazy. What are you talking about? That's absolutely insane.
Council Martin, you have a request?
The bottom line is saving money, and that's what it's about.
If I could, on the timing of this, now, my memory is the last time we had a preliminary election was 1999.
I did it 2 years ago, I believe.
No.
No?
We had this waiver at least twice in the time I've been here. There hasn't been a preliminary election, I believe, since 1999.
Right, you're right.
I think in subsequent years, there may not have been enough candidates to qualify at least one or two of those times, but at least twice, I think now we've gotten this waiver, and it's always around this time of year, as I remember. I know it's always difficult and a burden on the state delegation, because you don't really know until
That's right.
until candidates start to surface. So I think, Councilor Kazanjian's point, we all entertained this, we all voted for it. I think we would all like to save the city some money. But whether it can be done or not, I think, is largely out of our control.
Oh, definitely.
So yes, I think we should pursue it if we can, and
If the legislature doesn't want to act on it, there's nothing we can do about it,
but I don't see what's happening this year to be particularly different than the other times that we've sought the waiver, except for the repetition of it time after time after time without going through the charter change.
Yeah.
And maybe at some point we're going to have to do that, but I don't know that we don't even get enough people to vote in the election to ratify a charter change. So,
Mr. Mayor, I just have one other thing. One thing I just want to add is the state reps and the state senate said this is the last time this is going to happen as far as waiving it. So you have to do something, either go with the primary or eliminate it once and for all. And that's what we're doing here. And the bottom line is we're saving $60,000+, our taxpayers, and that's what it's all about.
I think being pursued as you're discussing it, Mr. Mayor, calling a delegation and ask them, especially Steve Panagiatakis, a senator, if they'd be amenable to accept a waiver if indeed one is needed. We won't know that for a while. I think that the underlying factor of the $60,000 could maybe play a factor in the decision of the senator to say, all right, one more time, but that's it. Right. You want to change it, have a charter change, which is a long, lengthy process. Right. So I think calling him, asking him if he'd be amenable to consider it if indeed it's needed, is the first step. And then let's see what happens when the deadline occurs. There are circumstances here that wasn't existing a few years back, and that's the $60,000 that we don't have.
And no one ever thought, no one, that we'd be in this fiscal dilemma. And
the times are different. I really believe that they meant it 2 years ago, but times are a little bit different. And I think that they're committed enough to the city's financial problems to be amenable to it, but I think the mayor's office should reach out to the senator on behalf of the council on this matter.
Okay. Councilor Milanowski, you call tomorrow, and I'll follow up with a call too and see if we can eliminate the cost. Moving on with the agenda. All in favor of Councilor Kazanjian's motion signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The next motion is by Councilor Rita Mercer. City Council requests the city manager to investigate ways and means of releasing city properties no longer useful for city purposes in an effort to increase tax revenues. For example, the Butler School, the Green School when vacated, and other city properties, seconded by Councilor Kazanjian on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Earlier on this agenda, we learned that this council declared surplus city property on Pawtucket Boulevard that we no longer had any use for. A portion of that money from this very sale will be used for the environmental cleanup at 86 Fay Street and satisfy a 20% match that otherwise would probably be unable to proceed as rapidly as we will be because of the sale of this property. But this sale will allow all this to happen. This money came in handy for that particular purpose. We have more property in the city that we no longer need, such as the Butler School on Gorham Street. This motion asks that we scan or survey our city-owned property, release what we no longer need or is no longer useful, and proceed to declare it surplus, and the property would be sold to a developer or whatever, along with the Green School. And I know that watching the school committee budget hearings, that the Green School is the home of the Lowell Adult Education Center, and when it moves to the Rogers School, we need to generate tax money, and that we could do with that as well. Having said that, perhaps, and I'm very concerned about how the charter school was concerned about trying to buy the Rogers School, and they feel it's not something they want to do, and I can understand that. But the fact remains, is it possible that we could release these two properties, these school properties, and they could split up their facility on Jackson Street and maybe buy the two schools? I don't know. We could check that out and see if that could be possible as well.
Yes. Mr. Manager?
Councilor, I think this is an excellent motion. I know that you've had a similar motion in the past regarding the sale of city-owned property. I know that Councilor Broderick has had a similar motion in the past as well, and it is something that we do on a regular basis. As you point out, we have the property that we sold tonight for the $90,000. We had the property out on Middlesex Street that we've sold. We've had a number of pieces of property that we've sold, and we continue to explore those to see what options are available and what the market can bring us. Obviously, we're trying to maximize that. The two properties specifically that you mentioned, I think are very important properties, and they have tremendous potential for the city for some sale or lease or some other purpose that will bring revenue into the city's coffers. The Butler School clearly is once the city council decided not to move forward with the school project for that site, that freed that up for other purposes. We've been working with private landowners in that area, looking at a larger type of development that can happen in that general area. We've been working with those private landowners as well as the state Office of Economic Development, as making that a priority development site, not only for the city but for the state. And that Butler School is a key part of it with its location right on Gorham. The Green School has not yet been released to the city from the school department, but already I have some people that have expressed some interest. There may be some city uses for that will free up other city properties. There are some potentials that we're looking at, particularly with the renovation of the Smith Baker Center in the near future. So again, I think it's an excellent motion, and one that we'll again we do on a regular basis, but we'll revisit it again and get another report to the council on what we've done and what we see as potential. Those two properties, I think, clearly can be sold off at some point in time, but I think it has to be done, my recommendation, it be done strategically.
Could I say another thing, since I'm in that vicinity of across the street with the Green School? Next door at the Smith Baker Center, I was here Sunday for the Puerto Rican flag-raising ceremony, and the priest was on the steps of City Hall, and he said to me, I would think that would be a great idea to make that Smith Baker Center an ethnic unity type of function area whereby we celebrate different diversities in that particular building by way of displays of different cultures. I think that would be a great idea to me. I mean, he said that to me, and I thought that would be quite a remarkable thing, whereby maybe we could have some sort of a fundraising effort by all different groups so that they could all take part and share in a little bit of that center across the street to highlight their different things. You have a magnificent stage upstairs. They could have events there, and, you know, we're talking about multicultural art, and that would be tremendous. I don't know, maybe we can do something with that in that respect.
Mr. Manager?
Well, Council, you may recall that there was a task force set up. It was actually the mayor's task force that worked on the development of a plan to, I know that Councilor Lenzi and Councilor Milanazzo sat on that group, as well as a number of private citizens and business people. A renovation of that as some type of cultural center for the community.
Yes, that'd
and
be
I think
wonderful.
certainly the notion of tying that in with the ethnic diversity is something that makes sense. You know, we're picking up the ball now with that plan to try to implement that, and that's an idea that you've raised, that perhaps it's a way of developing additional funding opportunities, so we'll follow up on that.
Yeah, thank you.
I was just going to mention that because there was a study made about a possible use of Smith Baker. But all of these great ideas require a lot of money.
Right.
And I think most of the ideas that was in that report, the cultural report, indicated that it would have to be kind of on a back burner because of the cost associated with that building's renovation and possible use. It's a great building. There's no doubt in my mind that it'll turn into something in the near future, but I don't think when you're looking at those numbers that we're talking about now,
No.
there's an awful lot of money involved in trying to convert that into a cultural center or even an ethnic covenant place. There's an awful lot of money involved in it.
Just to
So,
bring
but it's a
little-
great idea.
Just to bring a little information to the council, Council Milanazzo, Council Lindsay, the Lowell National Historical Park, UMass Lowell, Middlesex Community College, and you're right. How are we going to renovate that building? You need some federal funds, and that's why the National Park is involved. And that's why UMass Lowell, Middlesex Community College, working in partnership, they're gonna renovate that building. You can take my word for that, and it's.
They renovated the Rialto Theater, so they will renovate this.
Right, and it will be a beautiful facility for theater, for the arts, for musical variety shows, whatever it might be. And UMass Lowell and Middlesex Community College is going to benefit, and Michael Creasy from the Lowell National Historical Park has been absolutely phenomenal. And Council Milanazzo, Council Lindsay can certainly attest to that, along with many, many other people. Jimmy Cook from the Lowell plant. And if we don't do something with the building, it's just going to deteriorate to the point where it's a lost cause. So it's quite a bit of money to raise, but as we speak, they're working on that. I also want to bring up the Barnum School in Centerville. The Barnum School is a wonderful building, very strong structurally, but it has outlived its usefulness to the Lowell School Department. And it's not handicap accessible, but it would certainly make wonderful apartments or condominiums, and a developer could certainly address that. Manager, you want to speak on that?
Mr. Mayor, the question on the Varnum, it's interesting. I had a discussion with someone today about that property, and to my knowledge, that property has not yet been turned over.
No, it hasn't, no.
So I was just wondering if
I'll see if we can make that happen Wednesday night.
Good.
So.
Thank you.
Okay.
Because, Mr. Mayor, you know what they did to the 10th Street School in
That's right.
Centerville? They made it into a work of art.
That's right.
And I know it can be done again.
That's right. All in favor of the motion that was presented, signify by saying, oh, sorry, Council Martin.
Just back to the motion, I know in response to similar motions by other councilors, I think we had a fairly lengthy report submitted at one time about all city-owned property that would potentially be available. So I think the vehicle exists, maybe to just update that. There might be some properties to add. And also to show what has been sold so the council can see that progress has been made.
And a good example of that is the vote the council has taken tonight for the property on Pawtucket Boulevard. And that's going to turn into a taxable, wonderful building with more employees working there. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? The motion carries. The last motion of the evening. Motion by Council Milanazzo. City Council requests the city manager to seek a legal opinion and an independent investigation into whether Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 43, Section 107, were violated during the fiscal 2010 budget process. Second, who's going to second? Seconded by Council Martin.
Thank
On
you.
the motion.
Thank you.
I believe we have some people registered to speak, Councilor? Mr. Clerk?
Yes. Mr. Gardner, Stratton, Market Street in Lowell.
Thank you. My name is Gardner Stratton. I'm a resident at 30 Market Street in Lowell. By profession, I'm an investment manager and an estate planning attorney, and I've lived in Lowell just over 2 years now. I want to speak in support of Councilor Milanazzo's motion tonight, and I thank him for his leadership and his courage for bringing this forward. I think that whatever one's original position on the motion to strike the line item from the budget was, we have to recognize that the mere possibility that it came too close to a legal line is a black cloud hanging over the City Council. And that's a cloud that will only be dispersed by a thorough investigation and airing of all the issues. Now, I happen to believe that that original action was inappropriate and that there is no credible financial or management reason for striking a single line item in the budget that eliminates a specific employee. I give Councilor Mercier great credit for having the courage and integrity to be honest about her reasons for doing it. But I think there is no way it can't be seen as a personal action against that specific employee. Now, whether that's a violation of the law or not, I don't know. But I think that needs to be fully investigated in a free and open manner. Otherwise, there will be tarnish on the institution of the City Council. I'm not concerned about the individual city councilors serving today. But I think the institution of the City Council and the City of Lowell will have a black eye and significant tarnish if this question isn't addressed and answered. And I would just say to any individual city councilors who may be thinking that an investigation is a bad idea, I would only suggest you would much rather have an investigation into this issue now, when it could be rectified, rather than, say, next January, if there's a different city council and they decide to investigate it. As far as I know, not being any expert, if there has been a legal violation, that doesn't go away just because we've had an election in the interim. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Joseph Smith, Mariposa Avenue.
It's obvious we have a lot of financial problems starting at the nation, the state, and the city. And obviously, for this fiscal year, the $9 million reduction in state aid to the general government of the city of Lowell has caused a lot of hardship. Obviously, that hardship is creating hard feelings, but we gotta, like the previous speaker say, respect this council chamber. One thing about hardship, there becomes opportunity to get out of it if we all work very hard. We have that Hamilton Canal district that could turn a wasteland into a productive use and also increase the vitality of the downtown and all the surrounding neighborhoods. We have our relationship with UMass Lowell. In the near term, they're going to be moving downtown to the Inn and Conference Center. We got to make best use of that. And beyond that, we got to make use of the research work they do to help grow the job economy in Lowell and make that economy grow, jobs for all the people, not just high-class people, every class of people. Unfortunately, I think the action that the council took a few weeks ago doesn't go along that way. The elimination of the job of the assistant city manager undercuts the city manager at a time when he needs help the most. If it was done for financial reasons, I think it's short-sighted, penny-wise, pound-foolish. If it's done for personal reasons, it's inappropriate. So anyhow, that brings us to tonight's vote, and it's a very difficult vote, I think, as far as I'm concerned. It's a two-edged sword. If you vote no, the cloud remains over the council for the rest of your term, and even if tonight's the end of it. If you vote yes, then you run the risk of an adverse finding on it. But I think the reason that I would vote that you should support the motion is, first of all, you clear the air now, and then secondly, you establish what the limitations of the law is for personal involvement of the city council in the actions of the employees. Thank you very much.
Cliff Krager, Mansa Street.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Councilors. I'm speaking in support of Councilor Jim Milanazzo's motion. In my mind, there's an issue of whether the City Council has changed the relationship of the City Council and the City Manager in violation of our charter. While this one transgression may not have much impact, things tend to evolve. Future councils, not as wise as this one, might go further until we have a mutation that just no longer works and we have to redo our whole form of government. I believe that Councilor Milanazzo's motion gives us an opportunity to walk the cat back, and it does it without us getting unwanted help from outside the city. The council passes the motion, the report is made, the council takes action to heal the problem. I know the council can go to someone inside the city government, someone in the solicitor's office, for instance, to look into this, but I believe that would be a mistake. Everyone here is invested one way or another in the recent vote and the revote. Let's get someone who can give us a chance to reset this situation. Thank you.
Paul Sweeney, Penn Avenue.
Mr. Mayor, City Councilors, thank you for this opportunity to address you. I want to say that I'm in favor of Mr. Milanazzo's motion. I'm not a lawyer, so I can't talk to the legality of the motion or the legality of the vote a few weeks ago, but I can say that my perception of the vote is that it was unethical and that it was a deliberate attempt to remove one single employee from office, from his position. And the statute says, and I quote, "Taking part in any manner in the removal of an employee of the city from that employee's job is illegal." That can result in jail time, in fines, in removal from office, and in prohibition of running for office again. If this is allowed to stand, then what next? Will it be the fire department who has to close a station down because of budget cuts or because of staffing issues? So we'll defund the deputy fire chief. Or maybe next time a city councilor gets stuck at a red light for 3 cycles because the red light's defective, do we defund the city engineer's position? Where will it stop? The reporting chain has been blurred, if not erased. The city manager is responsible for all the employees. They report through a chain up through him. There are only 3 employees who report directly to the city council: the city manager, the city solicitor, the city auditor, and the city clerk. None of these other employees report to the council. Defunding a single line item for $85,000 in, I believe, a $200 or $300 million budget, that's ridiculous. $85,000? I mean, how did that save us taxpayers much money? What's that going to save me on my taxes? We have 100,000 citizens here in Lowell. What did I save, about 75 cents on my taxes next year? I don't see any city councilors refusing their stipends for this. If they refuse their stipends, then maybe I'd say, okay, you know what, the city is in financial difficulty, and maybe we do need to eliminate some positions. But these city councilors, most of them have full-time jobs outside the city council. By the way, it'll probably cost more to investigate this than the $85,000. But psst, we won't tell any more snickering next time we have layoffs. Thank you.
James Sullivan, Rindo Park Drive.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, and the citizens and taxpayers of the City of Lowell. I've been a resident of the City of Lowell and a taxpayer since 1970. I was the city manager of Cambridge, the city manager of Lowell. I taught at MIT. I think I understand municipal finance and municipal government as well as anybody in this Commonwealth. I felt compelled to come to this meeting of the City Council to attempt to provide some perspective on the issue before you as to whether the City Council exceeded its authority in voting to eliminate the appropriation for the assistant to the city manager from the municipal budget. There seems to be a further question as to whether in so doing, members of the City Council violated Chapter 43, Section 107 of the City Charter, and to whether they should be subject to the penalties provided in that section. A $500 fine, 6 months in jail, never again to hold public office in the city of service, and not only that, to be removed as members of the City Council. All I can tell you is this penalty is so severe that I find it difficult that a present city councilor or a former city councilor would attempt to have it invoked on their city council colleagues. Fortunately for the city of Lowell and the taxpayers of Lowell, the city council did not exceed its authority, nor did they violate the provisions of 107. Chapter 43, Section 107 has been a part of Plan E in every municipal charter for almost 70 years, and I am not aware of any successful prosecution in its history. Furthermore, when Dean Landis of Harvard University established the provisions of Plan E, 107 was included to prevent the City Council or any of its members from attempting to, quote, direct or request the appointment of any person to or removal from office by the city manager or any of his subordinates. That's the quote directly from the law. The City Council did not attempt to direct or request the city manager or any of his subordinates to remove any employee. They removed the appropriation from the budget. Let me try to clarify the issue. Under Chapter 43, Section 97, not 107, the City Council, quote, shall have and exercise all the legislative powers of the city, except as such powers are reserved by this chapter to the school committee and to the qualified voters of the city, end quote. We do not have a city manager form of government. We have a government by a city council, including a mayor elected from its number, and a city manager with all elective bodies elected at large. That's the form of government we have. It is not a one-man show. The City Council is the only appropriating body in the city. In the establishment of the city budget, the city manager must prepare a budget and submit it to the City Council for approval. The City Council cannot add to the budget, but can only reduce the appropriations requested. The City Council did this in the case of the assistant to the city manager. This is not a case of exceeding their authority, it's a case of exercising their authority. Incidentally, the budget submitted by the city manager to the City Council is substantially out of balance. It has a built-in property tax increase, estimated increases of revenue. Mr. Mayor, you may think it's out of order, but you're facing a financial crisis in this city that the public should be aware of, and so should the City Council. You don't discuss these issues here. I would just like to discuss it now.
What's the wish of the body? Secretary Lindsay.
I think we should stick to the issue at hand.
The issue at hand.
There's other opportunities to discuss. If Mr. Sullivan, we're here every Tuesday. You can come down and talk, petition to the council and be heard all he wants on the budget, but there are other people who want to be heard on this issue in addition to him, and I think we need to stick to the issue at hand.
Mr. Sullivan, the chair would appreciate it if you would stick to the subject
I
matter.
will respect the chair.
Thank you.
Let me also suggest that you have some very serious financial problems, and you are going to have to face future reductions in personnel. When somebody says that they're concerned with the fact that one employee was removed, 48 of them were removed. That is what is happening in the budget, and it will happen again. In the current budget that you've got, you're going to be laying off 26 policemen by the end of the year because you've only put in half of the amount of money. This city is in serious trouble, and you've got to recognize what it is, and you've got to recognize that this nonsense of $87,000 in one person is not as important as the loyal employees that you lost. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Council on the motion. Thank you, Mr. Sullivan.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and let me begin by thanking Councilor Martin for seconding the motion, and also thank the number of speakers that came forward this evening. I certainly appreciate their interest in the motion. I truly believe that the motion is the right course of action for the city to take at this point. I understand that some of my colleagues are upset with the motion, but I'm not going to apologize for doing what I truly believe is the right thing to do. People care about this city and the direction it's going. I received many calls and literally, Mr. Mayor, hundreds of emails telling me that the motion needed to be brought forward. I am looking for legal opinion and an independent investigation to clear the air, as has been stated by some of the speakers. The vote that took place to defund the position, which was probably on its surface not inappropriate, as Mr. Sullivan suggests, but clearly, though, it didn't start out that way. The maker of the motion wanted to eliminate the position from the beginning, to which the city solicitor jumped up and said no. There was a discussion back and forth, and then the motion was reworded, and the vote was eventually taken. I've been consistent on this issue, and I've even asked for reconsideration to save the city this pain and embarrassment. Then after the vote, it became very public that some councilors said that it was personal. Again, in my opinion, by doing that, it put the city in a very difficult position. I'm hearing that there may even be, or there has been talk of a 10 taxpayer lawsuit. So I truly believe that by going forward and being proactive and asking for an independent investigation and actually get opinions from those like Mr. Sullivan, who clearly has experience, that we could really put the city in a better position. Instead of being defensive, as I think the majority of this council will probably end up being, I'm trying to really correct a wrong and get the city out from under what could end up being an expensive lawsuit. I also believe that the integrity of the planning form of government is at stake. To quote one email that I did receive, Lowell is a society of laws, not venom. And I'm asking my colleagues to please do the right thing and support the motion as presented. Thank you.
Counsel? Anyone want to
Yes, I
respond
want
to the motion?
Yes,
Counsel Armin Mercier.
I want to chime in here because there are an awful lot of things that are being said that would suggest that this motion should be supported. But at the same time, I don't share that feeling at all. I think that when a colleague of this council, or prior councils, or I hope the future council, feels that a wrong has taken place, there is a better way of doing it than calling for an independent investigation. My first question would be, who would do the investigating? Where would that independent counsel come from? Would that be somebody appointed by you, Mr. Mayor? Would it be appointed by the manager, the city solicitor, or maybe this council, or maybe Councilman Linazzo? I think it's a slippery slope when you talk about 107, and I'm telling you right now, I don't think this is a good way to proceed. The legal opinion was issued before we took the vote, and the legal opinion was that we had a right to strike that amount of money from the budget, and that's what I voted for, and that's my authority under the law. I don't believe that anyone violated any law that would bring about the type of punishment that we're talking about, and it particularly bothers me as an individual that this comes from a colleague who I've always had the highest professional respect for. This is not to remove a cloud. I think this is political in nature. I don't think that it's worthy of being voted on. I think we've already had an opinion given to us by the city solicitor on whether or not we could eliminate that money. Whether that was the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do, that's not the issue tonight. That issue was revisited twice. It was debated the night that we did it, and it was debated again on the move for reconsideration. I think when you go one step further and look for an independent investigation on whether or not this body, individually or collectively, violated the law that would bring upon the punishment that we know about, I think it's ill-advised in my opinion. I don't support this motion. I'm disappointed in it coming in this way, and I'm very, very disappointed in the maker of the motion that didn't give any thought, in my opinion, to what the ramifications could be for him, me, and everybody else as we move along in the planning form of government. Is there anyone that can honestly say that they never suggested an appointment to a city manager, to a board, to a commission for a job? I don't think so. Now, is that a violation of 107? All depends how you interpret that. And like Mr. Sullivan said, here's a person who's been involved in the planning form of government with 2 major cities. He's very well versed in what is planning form of government. And when he says to me, and when he says to us, that he doesn't see any violation of the law, I will take his word for it more than anybody else that may have an axe to grind. These are very difficult times. We're going to have some more layoffs, and it isn't an easy time to be serving. But one thing I'm sure, I didn't violate any law. I don't think anybody violated any law, and I really take umbrage with the fact that a colleague of mine that goes way back would suggest that that happened. And so I am going to vote no on motion. I urge my council's colleagues to also vote no, and let's move on. Let's move on. Maybe the manager can find a way to address the problem that he's faced with. There's been a perception out there that this is motivated by something other than ethical and moral values. I don't ever remember you, Mr. Mayor, or anyone appointing or anointing any colleague of mine as the conscience of the council. I have my own conscience. I know I didn't violate any laws, and I take umbrage to the fact that we're putting into that category, and the fury of it is starting to build up. In my opinion, it's an ill-advised motion. I urge my colleagues not to support it, and let's move on to the business of hand, and that's to help the manager run this city. We may make mistakes, but we are all well-intended, and I really, really feel strongly that this motion should not be approved tonight. And I'm not worried about a 10 taxpayers suit, because I know that no one here, to my knowledge, has violated the law. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Anyone else like to? Council Martin.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is, Yeah, I understand there are strong feelings on both sides of this issue, but to my colleague's point and to Mr. Sullivan's point about penalties, I don't think, were this motion to be approved, that this council or even any independent investigator really has any authority at all to impose any penalties. And I certainly don't, and I'll let Councilor Milanazzo speak for himself, but I certainly don't read into this that one of us is trying to seek to impose penalties on somebody else. It's not our role, it's not the role of any investigator, and as some of the speakers alluded to, if in fact a violation were to have found to have been occurred, we potentially could correct it before any penalties were imposed. And Mr. Sullivan said in his years he's never known of a successful prosecution under this statute for violation, nor have I, and I think it's unlikely that would have one in any event here, no matter how this vote goes tonight. I think at the time we made the vote, we did get an opinion of council, but there have been subsequent developments from that. We've had councilors, speaking to various media outlets about different motivations for why they voted the way they did. I think calling into question what really motivated this particular action. At the time of the vote, we didn't know where we were going with the budget. It was early on in the evening. Subsequently, no further cuts in a $300 million budget, other than this one, which I think, lends some credibility to the fact that this was not just a money-saving measure. People can read into that as they will, and I'm confident in my vote as my colleagues are, but the things that happened subsequent to the first opinion and subsequent to the vote, I think, are what was called into question here. The newspaper editorialized that the council did overstep its bounds here. So Councilor Milanazzo is not the only one who feels that way, nor are the people that spoke here tonight. So I think it would be a good opportunity for the council to clear the air. I think people that are reading into this, that this is a measure to try and attack and prosecute and criminalize some political vote, because I wouldn't support that, but I don't think that's what's motivated here. I do plan to vote in favor of the motion, but I don't see all the, the shadows lurking behind the trees that others might be reading into this. It's just not what I think is motivating this. I think it's an attempt to keep the city moving in the right track, as we have been here for a long, long time.
Councilor Cassandra?
Thank you, Mayor. I just want to, I made the motion, so I just want to just say a few things. I did bring up to eliminate the position, but I also, at the same sentence, brought up to eliminate the money, which was $85,000 and I believe $72. I mean, that was all in one sentence. And then the solicitor chimed up and said that we cannot eliminate the position so we can eliminate the money. And I distinctly said, well, Madam Solicitor, we need some guidance here, which is the proper way to do it. And she guided us through the process, and I feel very comfortable with her opinion, and like we've all done in many other occasions, and nobody questioned the solicitor on situations before, and now all of a sudden, where I feel it's become a political incident on the other on Councilor Milanazzo, that this is brought up, and we all know what's been happening. Letter to the editor with a political law firm getting involved, and maybe this is his reason for bringing this forward for this political law firm to get involved and fight against the city, which is again is going to cost the city taxpayers a lot of money. Mr. Milanazzo probably thinks we have a lot of money. First of all, drops the ball on the primary election, and which is going to cost us $60,000 plus. Plus, what's it going to cost for a law firm, a legal law firm, to investigate this? We're in tough times, laying people off, taxes are going up, and we're going to spend foolish money, I feel, on a outside source of an opinion from a legal law firm. It just doesn't make sense to me, and I beg to differ from Councilor Martin. This is definitely political, and it's definitely motivated to attack probably me and some of my colleagues, and I'm appalled that Councilor Milanazzo would bring something forward like this to another colleague and it's way off base, and I'm ashamed to say that he is a colleague of mine, and thank you.
Councilor Lindsay.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You know, this meeting tonight started off on a very nice note when we honored the Danis family, and when I was growing up in Lowell, I was cooking hot dogs for them 2 doors down. And then we mentioned the Armory Festival, and we were pushing Jeeps off of the basketball court when I was 12. But it's too bad this motion has been made tonight, because it sounds like that we're going to end on a disappointing note. And I think that probably 48 employees in the city could be here tonight, and everybody could argue their case. And we heard people speak after the layoffs and say, I can't do my job. Okay, it's going to be very difficult to do my job. And I think the manager stated everybody has to do more with less. So we've evolved into this argument, and we're starting to use words like unethical. And, you know, I haven't been reading about this, to be honest with you. I've been on vacation for 7 to 10 days. And so I haven't followed it. And, you know, when you say it's political, and when Councilor Milanazzo uses the term some councilors, that makes me very uncomfortable. I almost wish he'd be specific. But, you know, this all started when there was a vote. And somebody said, well, this is a 6-3 council. I said, I've been on the short end of an 8-1 vote. I've been on top of a 9-0 vote. I've been part of a 5-4 vote, a 7-2 vote. One vote, I don't think, depicts what this council is all about. And probably before this evening, my gut feeling was we were a united council. There's a lot of things going on, and we're making some very good decisions, and there's a lot to look forward to ahead of us. And I agree with some of the speakers tonight about that optimism. But, you know, when the manager goes on the radio the morning following the vote, I think it sets the stage for what we're going through tonight. And I just think it's a mistake. I think you can't lose a vote and then go out on a campaign and say things like, this is personal, say words like outsider, and blog, and all these other things that are, you know, I just don't think are right. It's not the way that planning government should be operating when we talk about, is this right, is this wrong, who voted, who was personal. So it's upsetting to me. I kind of think that if, you know, former city manager Sullivan, if we listen to his take on this, and you believe that that's the case, then maybe it would save us a considerable amount of money than going forward. But it is, being one of the newer councilors here, it is kind of insulting that another councilor would bring this motion forward. Under these circumstances, I think this could have been nipped in the bud. I think that, you know, Andy Sheehan's job was one of 48 jobs that were eliminated in this city, an $85,000 salary, and I think there'll be more cuts coming, unfortunately. But I hope not. I hope I'm wrong, but I think there'll be more tough cuts coming. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor. Councilor Milanazzo.
Thank you. 2 things. One, I don't believe the night of the vote that we actually received an opinion from the solicitor as it relates to Chapter 43, Section 107. She was talking more about the language that we used to vote and defund the position, which I mentioned we eventually got to. It was everything that happened after that that, in my opinion, we start getting dangerously close to crossing that line of violating Chapter 107. And I also would like to thank Councilor Alan Kazanjian for saying what I really perceive to be one of the nicest things he said to me, that he's ashamed that I'm his colleague, because I really truly believe that he doesn't have the best interest of the city as a city councilor. And I think he's proven that time and time again. So if he's ashamed of me, I've proven my point in being a good city councilor.
So,
thank you.
Councilor, just to clarify your quote, you just indicated that everything that the council did On that vote.
on that night. But it was
legal.
after that.
Was legal.
Correct, but it was after that, Mr. Mayor, I've had conversations with a number of my colleagues and people that spoke tonight that said that it was personal. And all I'm saying is that we need to remove the cloud that happened that night. Again, you're looking at me inquisitively, Mr. Mayor. People started saying to me, wait 30 days, wait 60 days, we'll refund the position as long as he brings in the right person. That, to me, is not good government. That's what I'm talking about. And I'm saying that as a result of Councilor Kazanjian's motion, City Solicitor O'Connor stepping up saying that that's not how to word this is how you do it, I said that we eventually got to the appropriate vote. It was everything that happened after that vote that put a cloud over this council. So that's why I'm looking for the opinion.
That's why the solicitor is here, to guide and direct this council, and the
Correct.
solicitor is also
Correct.
there in the school committee meetings. to do
Correct,
the
and
same.
I have the utmost respect for the solicitor, but again, the solicitor works for the city manager. Again, if she wants to offer her opinion as to whether or not Chapter 43 would, not that night, but everything that's happened subsequent to that, when you read Chapter 43 and then look at what happened after that vote and conversations that we had, again, if she wants to interview me or interview any members of the city council and share what was said to me, I truly believe that a violation may have occurred.
Council, I'm a mercy.
In the spirit of moving forward, I'd move the question.
Motion to move the question,
I'll second.
seconded by Council Milonazo. Roll call.
No, I didn't second that.
Oh, you didn't second? Who seconded? Seconded by Council Kazanjian. Roll call and move the question.
Councilor Broderick, Mayor Caulfield.
Yes.
Councilor Elliott,
Yes.
Councilor Kazanjian,
Are we voting yes to support the motion or deny?
No, this is the move the question.
Okay, yes.
Councilor Lenzi.
Yes.
Councilor Martin,
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Rita Mercia.
Yes.
Councilor Milonazo.
No.
Let's take a roll
7
call.
yeas, 1 nay, 1 absent.
Roll call on Councilor Milonazo's motion to have a independent investigation and to see whether Chapter 43-107 was violated. Roll call.
Councilor Broderick, Mayor Caulfield.
No.
Councilor Elliott,
No.
Councilor Kazanjian,
No.
Councilor Lenzi,
No.
Councilor Martin,
Yes.
Councilor Armin Mercia,
No.
Councilor Rita Mercia,
No.
Councilor Milonazo.
Yes.
Motion fails, 2 yeas, 6 nays, 1 absent.
Just before we adjourn, I just would like, on a positive note, would like to thank the following people for offering and funding the fireworks in this city July 5th. And with great support and applause for the Greater Lowell Community Foundation, John Thibault, through his dedication and leadership, All Sports Promotions, Eastern Bank, Enterprise Bank and Trust, Gallagher and Kavanaugh, Jeffrey's Garage, Gendoc Credit Union, the Lowell Cooperative Bank, Lowell 5 Cent Savings Bank, Lowell General Hospital, Lowell Sun Charities, UMass Lowell, Merrimack Valley Convention and Visitors Bureau, Mill City Management, O'Connor Portraits, Trinity EMS, and I must, before we conclude, the Lowell High School Band was absolutely phenomenal. I've heard the Boston Pops present the 1812 Overture, and the Lowell High School Band is right behind them. And it was a wonderful evening. Manager Lynch and I presented a plaque to Jocelyn Mendonca, who represented John Thibault that night. The fireworks were absolutely phenomenal, and there had to be 30,000 people who enjoyed them in this great city, and they wouldn't have had them if the business community didn't come forward and make it happen. So when you see these people, we all know them, just say thank you. And this is one of the reasons why we're going to support Judge Duncan and Enterprise Bank with Jack Clancy for that walk for the Heart Association. and we're going to make it a very, very positive outcome. If there's anything else to discuss, move to adjourn by Councilor Armin Mercier, seconded by Councilor Elliott. Thank you.